Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back. So, today we will start a new chapter. In fact, this is chapter number 13 of the book we are following. So, the book what we are following, we are skipping 3 chapters, chapter 10, chapter 11 and chapter 12. If you can remember that application of the concepts of consumer surplus and producer surplus and total social surplus and social welfare, all those their application we have discussed in chapter 9 in the context of international trade. Okay. And now we are going to chapter 13. So, chapter 10, 11 and 12 we are skipping. Chapter 13, it is basically the concepts of production, cost. So, we are now starting discussion exclusively of a producer, okay, or a farm. We told that production activities, economic agent who are or unit who are responsible for production activity, that we call farm, right, FIRM, farm, right. So, we are going to discuss what will be the optimum strategy or maximizing strategy of a farmer, of a producer, right. Obviously, when a farm is operating, okay, its target is what? Its target is to engage itself into some production activity, right. So, to do that, it has to hire certain factors of production, it has to pay those factors of production, okay, to utilize their services, okay, and using those factors of production services and combining them together, it is producing some goods or services, right. So, that goods and service whatever it is producing, that it will sell in the market, right, and after selling that it will get some sales revenue, right. So, farm or the organizer of a farm or entrepreneur of a farm, right, his or her, who is the entrepreneur, his or her target is to get profit, right, because entrepreneur's remuneration is profit, we told, right. What is that profit? Profit is basically whatever the revenue minus cost, right. So, revenue is basically whatever the farm is producing, that goods or that service whatever it is producing, that once it is sold in the market, it is collecting some sales revenue, right. After selling that product, it is earning some money. So, that is called sales revenue, right, sales revenue, okay. And when it is hiring certain factors of production to make them engaged or make them combine into production activity to be able to produce some goods or service, right, it has to pay its factors of production. So, total payment of those factors of production are called cost, that is basically production cost or cost of production, right. So, this difference whatever revenue he is getting minus whatever cost he has to incur, okay, that is called profit, right. So, definitely I am the entrepreneur, I am running this business, what will be my target? Definitely my target is to make this profit as much as possible. So, maximize profit is the optimum decision making kind of thing of an entrepreneur or of an organization or of a farm, right. It will always try to maximize its profit, right. But in maximizing that, what is its choice variable? Choice variables are basically how much factors of production it will hire, say suppose land, labor or capital, all these factors of production, how much of unit of each of them it will hire, okay. And that how much of unit of each of them it will hire, that depends on what? That depends on how much output it is going to or it is deciding to produce. Suppose I am deciding to produce say 10 units of output, right. So, whatever land, labor or capital I have to hire, if I want to produce 20 units of output, definitely I have to hire each of those factors of production maybe little bit more, right. So, that is the thing. So, when farm is operating, it has to incur certain cost. So, we will first discuss today different concepts of costs and different the combining the hired factors of production. Okay, once it is converting those factors of production into the output or produced good or produced service, right. So, that technological know-how, knowledge level using which that entrepreneur or organization is converting inputs into outputs, that knowledge level is called in economics called technology. Okay, technology. So, we will discuss that technology, how we can capture that by different diagrams associated to that different kinds of concepts we will discuss. So, sometimes back if you can remember that short run and long run, short run vis-a-vis long run. So, if you can remember, we told when we introduced or when we first come across these two concepts short run and long run, we told that we will specifically mention the definition of short run and long run sometimes later, that is that time is right now. Okay, we came to that discussion now. Okay, we will define here what is short run and what is long run, but earlier so far whatever we have introduced, short run is relatively shorter span of time, long run is relatively longer span of time, right. So, short run, let me first introduce what is short run and long run. Short run is that span of time within which a producer have or whatever production technology that producer is using, he has at least one fixed factor. So, certain factors of production are there which are fixed in nature and certain factors of productions are there which are variable in nature. So, for instance, say suppose this room where we are sitting, right, this room I want to hire, okay, and what I will do after hiring this room, I want to make a stitching factory inside this room. Okay, so, perhaps I will hire 10 stitching machines with 10 say experienced persons who know how to stitch clothes, right. So, 10 stitching machine and 10 that kind of experienced labor force I will hire and I will accommodate those 10 stitching machine inside this room, suppose that is my target, right. Now, you can understand that say maybe next 1 year or 2 years, so long I am hiring this room, right, that is basically this size of this room is fixed factor to me. So, I have a contract maybe for 1 year with the owner of this room, okay. So, next 1 year I will use this. So, you can understand that by virtue of the fact that the size of this room size, this is my workshop size, right, because I am planning to establish my workshop inside this room. So, so long I can't hire another size of room or I can't increase my this workshop size, that time is called short run. And within that what is my fixed factor? Of course, my workshop size is the fixed factor. What is my variable factor then within that first 1 year? Definitely number of stitching machine, number of people I hired. So, inside this room I can try to hire 10 stitching machine, maybe 12 stitching machine, maybe 15 stitching machine. Of course, there will be some upper limit, maybe not more than 20 stitching machines is accommodable within this room, right. So, given this room size 0 to 20, any number of stitching machine I can hire and I can employ into my production activity, right. So, you can easily understand if I hire say 10 stitching machine, although I can accommodate up to 20 stitching machine inside this room given this room size, right. So, I am hiring, I decided to hire say 10 stitching machine, definitely 10 that kind of labor force. So, I am hiring. So, here stitching machine and labor force, these are variable input because I can employ none of them, no stitching machine no person, one stitching machine 1 person, 2 stitching machine 2 person, 2 stitching machine 2 person. So, we are making 1:1 kind of ratio because each person will be working using one stitching machine in that way, right. So, from this given example you can easily understand that at least two variable factors we are getting here, number of stitching machine and number of person we are hiring. But the size of this room or this workshop, factory size, okay, this is a fixed factor, and I can increase my factory size or lower my factory size only in the next 1 year or after the 1 year. Why? Because I hired this room from the owner of this room for 1 year, that is my rent contract, okay, with the owner, right. So, you can understand that certain factors of productions are there in real life which are fixed in nature, certain factors of production are there which are variable in nature. So, the factors of production which are fixed in nature we used to term that as fixed factor, okay, and exactly the same way other factors are called variable factor. Okay. So, you can understand, say look at here, depending on the, say I am stitching machine I am hiring, right, and I am employing stitching machine with employer with certain labor force, right. So, to do what? Perhaps I will purchase cloth, okay, and using this in my workshop I will convert this cloth into different shirts. Okay. So, depending on how much demand for my shirt is there in the market, right, I will accordingly hire that stitching machine and labor. If today say demand is very less, right, perhaps I will hire only 2 labor and 2 stitching machine, right. Tomorrow if demand is little bit more, perhaps I will try to hire 3 stitching machine and 3 labor force. Okay. In that way I can change this depending on what is the market situation, right. Okay. But if say suppose demand is very high, okay, I am willing to say hire maybe 40 stitching machines and 40 labor force, but within that 1 year it is not possible because within 1 year I hired this room. Perhaps after 1 year I will go to this owner of this room again and tell, can you give your next room also, I want to rent both the rooms, not this. So, here that 1 year that contract that is called, so any time point 0 to 1 year within that it is called short run, that is the time point within which at least one factor is fixed, okay. But after 1 year, so more than 1 year it is variable factor, okay, that is called long run, because after 1 year if it is 2 years even the size of the factory is not fixed. After 1 year I can hire another room. Tomorrow say suppose today I am hiring say 10 labor force and 10 stitching machine, okay. But if suddenly say after 2 months I am observing that no demand for my shirt what I am producing, no it's gone drastically gone down, right. What I will do? I will perhaps try to reduce my hiring of number of labor and number of stitching machine, right. But I can't immediately move from this room to another smaller room, right. Even if I go, right, in any case I have to pay the rent for monthly rent for this room from whom I hire it, right. So, does not matter whether I am not producing at all or producing less amount of shirt or producing more amount of shirt, does not matter, the cost for or rent cost for this particular room, right, that is fixed. Okay. So, that is why this kind of factor is called fixed factor. So, what are the fixed factor? Factors which are fixed in nature and we have to utilize them in fixed in quantity in the short run. Relatively shorter period of time within which at least one factor is fixed and not all the factors are variable. What is the long run? The long run all the factors of productions are variable including my factory size, the kind of example we have given, right. So, let me clarify one thing. So, short run and long run, these two concepts now you can understand that they have a specific definition, okay, in economics. But this long run, concept of long run, it is not 1 year or 2 year like that. That is also that changes, that time span which we will term as long run, that depends on what kind of particular production activity we are talking about. The kind of we gave an example about this hiring of this room as my workshop, okay, and hiring the stitching machine and labor force, right. Given that kind of example, this is 1 year because I am hiring this room for 1 year, that is why short run is 1 year. if say suppose say I am engaged into steel production, right, perhaps 3 years is the short run, because another plant, I have a plant, and within that plant I am producing some steel. If tomorrow demand for steel is increasing huge, right, perhaps I need at least 3 years to establish or to build up another plant, right. So, in that case any time point 3 years or less than that, it is short run, okay. 3 years and more than that, or more than 3 years, it is the long run, okay. So, what is the span of time which will be termed as long run vis-a-vis short run, that depends on what kind of production activity we are engaged with, right. So, that is the thing. So, some fixed factor, some variable factor, right, and whatever the cost we have to incur hiring fixed factor, that is called fixed cost, and variable factors, hiring variable factors, whatever cost we will incur, that is called variable cost. Okay. Okay, let me clarify another factor, that is called quasi fixed factor. Okay. What is quasi fixed? Quasi means, quasi in a dictionary meaning as if. Okay. So, certain factors are there who has apparently look like they are fixed factor, okay, but they are variable also, they can be variable also. Let me give an example that will be very helpful for you to understand which factors are called quasi fixed factor. Okay. Quasi fixed factors are basically, so when we are discussing fixed factor and variable factors, you understand that the fixed cost or cost for the fixed factor is always something is there irrespective of how much production I am producing, right. Even if I do not produce anything, I have to incur that cost in the short run, right. And when I am starting, so I am not producing anything, still I have to hire this room, because I am planning to, maybe today I hired, maybe I am planning to establish or hire those stitching machine and labor force maybe tomorrow, okay, or maybe after 1 month, because I need time also, no, who are the people around, okay, where that stitching machine is available, okay, like that I have to, I need those information, right. So, those information suppose it needs 1 month, okay. So, even if I am going to produce, my production activity will be start after 1 month, but this month I have to pay the rent to the owner of this room, no, because I already hired, right. So, even when I am not producing anything, I have to pay for fixed cost, right. So, fixed factor, so cost for the fixed factor which is called fixed cost, that I have to incur in any case irrespective of whether I am producing 0 amount of output or some positive amount of output. But quasi fixed factor, it is the cost I have to incur for that factor is 0 so long I am not producing anything. As soon as I start production of 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units, does not matter. So, 0 unit of production quantity, so long 0 unit fixed, that cost is also 0, cost is 0. Production 1 unit plus some positive unit of production, whatever cost I will incur, I have to incur some positive cost here, some positive cost I have to incur here, and that amount of cost will not vary at all. So, 1 unit of output, whatever I am producing, whatever cost I am incurring, 2 units of output, same cost, 5 units of output, same cost, okay, so long I am using this factory size, okay, same amount of cost. Look, fixed cost, the same factory size, right, I am using 0 amount of output, I am producing 0 amount of output, 2 units of output, 5 units of output, 10 units of output, all are same, some positive fixed cost, some positive cost is there, that cost is basically rent I am paying for this house or for this room to the owner of this room, right. But quasi fixed cost, it remains fixed, but it has two group. So long output is 0, this cost is 0, it is not positive at all, and so long output is positive irrespective of the quantity of output 1 unit, 5 unit, 10 unit, whatever it is, that is same amount of cost. Okay. But when you are not producing anything, you need not incur any cost. So, let me give an example what kind of cost is can be referred as quasi fixed. So, say suppose this room, right, say there is a big lamp in the middle of this room is there is a big lamp, okay, and that one lamp is enough to lighten the entire room. Okay. So, look at here, I hired this room to establish my stitching factory inside this, right. So, so long I am not hiring any stitching machine or any labor, or so long they are not engaged into any production activity, I need not run that or burn that light, right. So, so long I am not starting any kind of production activity, although I already hired this room, right. So, electricity cost for that lamp I have to incur 0, because I need not switch on that light. But as soon as I started say hiring one machine and one labor force, start some production, same lamp I have to switch on, 2 labor force and 2 stitching machine, same one lamp, 5 labor force until up to 20 labor force, because we told that maximum 20 numbers of stitching machine and 20 labor force we can accommodate inside this room, right. So, look at this electricity cost behind that lamp. Okay. So long my output is 0 or production is 0, there is no electricity cost for that lamp. As soon as I started production, some cost I have to incur for that lamp, okay, and that does not depend on how much cost I am incurring, that does not depend on how much production I am producing, 1 unit, 5 units, 10 units, like that. So, this quasi fixed factor looks like as if it is a fixed factor, but when you are not producing anything, you need not incur any cost for that. Okay. So, that is the thing. So, what we have discussed now, let me summarize. So, what is the definition of short run and long run? Fixed factor and variable factor and their respective cost, are termed as fixed cost and variable cost. In that context, we told what is quasi fixed cost also. So, when we are discussing this cost of production, right. So, we have to show 2 different concepts of costs are there. One is called explicit cost and implicit cost. What is explicit cost? So, cost for hiring of some factors of production where the money which is going from your pocket, physical amount of money is going from your pocket to pay up that factor, okay. That kind of cost is called explicit cost. What is implicit cost? Certain costs are involved, okay, as if there is no, you are not incurring any cost, that kind of impression you will get, but that cost is there. Say, let me give an example. Say, suppose after your graduation, right, you got graduated, right. So, after that you got a job offer, okay. Say rupees 50,000 rupees per month, that is your salary. You decided not to do that job, rather you will engage into some startup business. You want to be an entrepreneur, okay, and you are starting a business, right. So, when you are starting a business, new business, right, you have to perhaps hire some factors of production, right, some labor, some employees, okay, some maybe other kinds of factors depending on what kind of business you are going to start, right. So, look at here. So, whatever employees you are hiring, say suppose 2 computers you have to hire. So, whatever cost you are paying to that employees, to computer you are hiring, whatever cost you are paying, okay, then you hired a room, this kind of room, right. So, that cost, rent for that room, all these things if you sum up, that is your explicit cost, okay. But is it your total cost? Definitely no, your total cost should include some implicit cost also, say rupees 50,000 per month, rupees say 50k per month, okay. Why? Look, if you do not, so this implicit cost is coming in the sense of opportunity cost, Okay. Why? Because if you don't engage into this startup new business, right, you could earn 50,000 rupees. In fact, that kind of job offer were there for you, but you declined that. So, you have to incur, or you have to say, suppose these three, hiring for these three factors, total your cost per month say 70k rupees, 70k per month, okay, that much of cost you are incurring. So, this is called explicit cost, because for those factors you are paying to them, but although you are not paying anything to yourself, but if you could earn 50,000 rupees per month, right. So, your total cost, that is called economic cost, should be equals to, that is your total cost of this business, should be rupees 70,000 plus rupees 50,000, this together per month. Because when you start your business, right, you have to lose the opportunity of this much of earning. So, in that opportunity cost sense, you have to incur, you have to include that. So, 1,20,000 rupees, 120k per month, that is your actually cost for your business. Okay. Let me give you another example. Suppose you are going to start a business, no. So, you have to need some capital, monetary capital, right. So, suppose 3 lakh rupee of monetary capital you need to start that business. Okay. So, that 3 lakh rupee, what you can do? You can take that loan from the bank and you have to pay some rate of interest, 10% rate of interest, suppose. Okay. So, definitely this 3 lakh rupee if you take from the bank as loan, so 10%, so per month, not per month, per year you have to pay 30k of rupees as interest, 10% rate of interest, right. So, per year you have to pay, okay, 30,000, okay, as interest on that loan whatever you have taken from the bank. Now, suppose instead of that 3 lakh rupee you need to start your business, you take loan 2 lakh rupee from the bank and 1 lakh rupee you had in your pocket, that also you invested into your business. So, 3 lakh rupee required, you hire 2 lakh rupee or you take loan from bank 2 lakh rupee. Okay. So, as a result you are paying to bank rupees 20k per year as interest. So, that is your total interest income? No, because your total interest income should be rupees 30k, because 1 lakh rupee what you are investing into your own business from your own pocket, right. If you do not start business, that 1 lakh rupee what you could do? As a rational person, you will not keep that idle in your room, no, or in your pocket, right. Perhaps you could save that into a bank account where you can incur some rate of interest, right. So, that is why you have to add that additional 10,000 rupees here. If you ask the question that 10,000 rupees coming from where, if I could take that 1 lakh rupee not from me, okay, my own capital, rather if I could hire that or I could take loan that from the bank, how much I have to incur? 10,000 rupees. So, your interest cost on your that 3 lakh rupee, right, is basically 30,000 rupees per year. Out of that 20,000 rupees is explicitly you are counting, and 10,000 rupees are as implicit cost. Okay. If you could take that loan from the bank, how much you can incur. So, your economic cost should be combination of, when you as an entrepreneur you are combining total cost, total revenue, then revenue minus cost, that is your profit, that is called economic profit. So, let me summarize. So, economic profit, that is basically sales revenue, so in any case is there, sales revenue minus explicit cost whatever you are incurring, also minus implicit cost as well, Okay. So, we can tell economic profit is basically sales revenue minus economic cost. Okay. And if we simply make this sales revenue minus explicit cost, this thing sometimes it is called accounting profit, accounting profit. Okay. So, economic profit is basically accounting profit minus implicit cost. So, when we are talking about the cost of production of a farm, of a producer or of an entrepreneur, right, you have to consider only economic cost. Okay. And when we are talking about profit of that producer or that entrepreneur, that is also economic profit, not in accounting profit, that sense, right. But you know what is accounting profit. Okay. So, the sales revenue minus explicit cost, that is called accounting profit. So, accounting profit is basically this red colored bracketed thing is accounting profit. Okay. So, that is the thing. So, different concepts. So, definitely you can understand that economic profit will be, so economic profit will be less than or equals to accounting profit. So, when it will be equal? When there is no implicit cost, all the costs of your production or whatever cost you are incurring in your production activity, all are explicit in nature, right. So, you understand what is implicit cost, what is explicit cost, and so on. So, let us stop here. Now, we will discuss the production technology and different cost alternative concepts of cost.